I point at a thing. Richard walks through a shop. And James has some bananas. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, every so often, we like to remind ourselves that this is a motoring show. So we get 3 really nice cars and go for a long drive. And what we do is we take it in turns to choose the location. So, if it's my turn, we usually end up in France. If it's James's turn, we usually end up in 1953. Tonight, though, it was Hammond's turn. So guess what? Our meeting point was the Valley of Fire in Nevada. And what you see here is the car I'll be using. This is a Lexus LFA. It's not the most powerful car in the world, it's not the fastest, it's not the best looking, and it certainly isn't the cheapest. Plus, the Lexus badge does come with a whiff of masonry. But I drove one of these in England last year, and I emerged from the experience thinking that might very well be the best car I've ever driven. And that's why we're here, to find out. At this point, the stillness of the desert was shattered by the sound of an approaching James May, who was at the wheel of the new Aston Martin Vanquish. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
It's not bad, is it? This is a DBS replacement, but also a bit inspired by the £177 million thing.
And look at the upholstery!
I know, the upholstery is outrageous.
That's the best-looking Aston there's ever been, actually.
Best one they've done. That, though, because I've never seen one in a good colour like that. That is pretty fantastic.
No, but yours is better. And the great thing is I'm in the better car, and I'm just going to follow you around going, that is beautiful. After a bit more mutual mastication, we started to wonder what Billy Bob Hammond might bring. Would it be something subtle, small, European?
Yeah, my money was on something rather large, brash, and maybe even American.
And blow me down, I was right.
So, the new Viper.
You?
Yeah, I know it looks exactly like the old dog. That is the new Viper.
Yeah.
Subtle.
Before you two start, let me just tell you, that 8.4-litre V10, that's the largest engine ever fitted to any production car since the war. And looking around here, let's not forget this car is the fastest with the highest top speed. It's the fastest to 60, the most powerful 640 brake horsepower. It's got the most torque and the biggest engine.
I'm sorry, Hammond.
Oh, come on.
They haven't styled it.
This has been in a wind tunnel to look like this.
That's been in a wind tunnel. They've parked it in there sideways for all the
It's
goodies.
been in a wind
Panel
tunnel.
gap. Look at the panel gap. Is that?
I'll stand behind you. You can have a look at me.
Let me see if I can see how many fingers you can holding up in that panel gap.
Well, there
Yes,
has to
two.
be a gap between the panels, or there'd be one piece, wouldn't there? Let's have a look at yours. Anyway, that looks ridiculous.
it's
It's
a
just a
Lexus.
nerd fest.
It's a Lexus.
It's for rich golfists, is what it is.
I admit the
And if
Lexus.
you want to talk about panel gap, there's a whopper straight away. Look.
It's a cooling
It's
system.
a heck, it doesn't fit. I'm surprised at you, because this is a bunch of retro nonsense, really.
It's not.
just
I'm sorry.
harking back
I'm
to-
sorry. I won't have
It's
that.
very pretty, yes, but it's
What,
harking
it's harking back to the past, and
Yes,
a car
it is.
with an engine from the 1930s isn't?
This is a nerd fest. That's for old fools. That is a proper, honest Grand 8.4-litre V10.
You don't need it to be
Hold on.
that big.
Hang on a second. Who owns Chrysler now, the people that made this?
Fiat.
What else do they make?
Ferrari.
There you go.
Yes, but Hammond, all brand is made by the same people who make Frosties. Doesn't mean they're comparable, does it?
Stupid.
It's not.
Right.
I
look,
knew I was going to get
shush,
some flack.
Shush. Instead of just standing here arguing,
Yes,
why don't we go for a drive?
that's a better idea.
Open the tabs. Straight away, though, there was a problem. Not again. Hammond, why do you like it in America so much? Every nice piece of road has an 8-mile-an-hour speed limit on it.
I don't know. Don't ask me. It's not my fault.
Yes, it is. I mean, what are we going to hit? What are we going to hit here? There's nothing. No wildlife, no people. It's stupid! It's stupid! Eventually, though, the 35-mile-an-hour limit ended. And thanks to some trickery in the edit, we were able to take our cars up to a dizzying 55 miles an hour.
There it goes. This isn't just an engine, it's a force of nature.
see what a proper V12 feels like. Nice is the answer.
The engine in this is so exquisite that it revs from idle to 9,000 RPM in 0.6 of a second. In fact, it revs so fast they couldn't fit a conventional rev counter. It had to be electronic because a normal one simply can't keep up.
Right, let's sort something out right from the start. James's Aston Martin costs £190,000. Jeremy's Celica, £340,000. This, £75,000 or thereabouts. That is a huge difference. And it does all the other fancy stuff too. It's got all the fancy materials, carbon fibre, aluminium, magnesium. They're all in here.
But when it comes to technology, neither of their cars is a match for the howling LFA. It took 5 years of sweat, toil and cash to design this car, and then just before they put it on sale, someone said, you know, I think it would be better if the body were made from carbon fibre rather than aluminium, and they began all over again. How much would that cost? All I do know is they sell them for £340,000 and they lose money on every single one that leaves the dealership.
By the time Jeremy had stopped droning on about his Celica, we were on a motorway, and I got the distinct impression I was playing gooseberry.
I'd like to say that from the back, particularly in that colour and in fact this light, the LFA looks absolutely epic. I mean, seriously.
Oh, that makes a lovely sound. Makes a very nice noise, your Aston Martin.
Oh, God, why don't you two just get a room? Your car looks nice. Ooh, your car sounds lovely. But they didn't get a room. Instead, they stopped to look at a silly aeroplane.
James?
Yeah.
B2?
Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it?
That is a B2 stealth bomber coming to land at Nellis. Actually, it's turning to come over us.
Yeah. Oh, we're not supposed to be able to see it, are we?
Does that get worse?
As the sun began to set, we were back on the road, heading for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Here, you can drive a NASCAR round the oval, or you can learn the racetrack on a Ferrari simulator before doing it for real in an actual Ferrari car. But Jeremy decided we should go to the drag strip. We couldn't understand why, because it just seemed to be a lot of very noisy, modified cars, which we all hate. Look, there's another one coming dressed as a policeman.
No, they really are police.
What, genuinely?
No, they really, I promise they are. No, they are. They're police, sheriff and the fire department. They invite kids down to race against them, to stop the kids racing on the streets.
So they race the actual police?
That was a police Mustang. They modded it. The police have modded it, and then say to kids,
What you got?
What can you beat us? They actually call it beat the meat.
That's probably beat the heat, because heat means...
Yeah, I meant that.
To prove that modified cars are idiotic, Jeremy decided to take on the local sheriff.
Yes, look, I'm up against some crummy pickup truck. This is going to just be, well, deeply embarrassing for him. That's there!
After this humiliation, I took on a state trooper in another pickup truck. Okay, now come on, Richard, concentrate. Where's he gone?
Having watched the fire department's motorcycle demolish a Honda NSX, James wisely decided to take on a youth in a clapped-out Mitsubishi Evo. Oh, yes, for England.
I'm going to do it in D and sport. I'm going to use launch control.
Try not to look smug, James. Try not to look smug.
Practice your face. Oh, hang on a second.
All-wheel drive means rear-wheel drive. God, he just sodded off.
Oh, now come on.
Having spent the entire evening losing to absolutely everything,
Pick on a weak one.
Oh, no!
we decided we didn't like drag racing and went into Las Vegas to do strip billiards instead.
I still can't believe that I was beaten by some bloke who'd spent 1,500 quid modifying an ancient Mitsubishi.
No, but the reason we hate modified cars is because we know if he tried to do it again, his engine would go bang, clatter, 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 and that would be the end of that.
That is true.
It would. I'll tell you what I think is funny, though. Can you imagine the British police trying to do Beat the Meat?
Oh.
Heat.
It is hate.
You could go, right, I've tuned up yesterday, I'll get 120 out of it down the straight there. Who wants to take me on?
What a spectacle.
But anyway, the most important thing is to reveal now which of the cars, our cars, was the fastest, and it was mine.
Yours was the most expensive.
It was the fastest.
Listen, on paper, the Viper is the fastest.
Yes, on paper, but Hammond, on tarmac. Mine was the... It just was.
User error.
Anyway, look, we're going to pick that up again later on, but now we're going to do the news.
Yes, we are. I've had another theory.
Good.
Oh, God.
No, you love my theories.
No.
OK, this one. You know Jessop's and HMV and Woolworths and Comet, they're all closed down recently.
Yeah, Jeremy, this is a car show.
Yes. Bear with me, OK? And everyone is asking, why are people shopping in retail, out-of-town, centres, and town centres are just becoming boarded-up shops and women in short skirts vomiting and catching herpes, right? There's a very good reason for this. It's because when you go to an out-of-town retail centre place, you can park your car. When you go into a town centre, you can't.
Right, so what are you suggesting?
It's easy to fix Britain's town centres, rip up every double yellow line and sack every single traffic warden.
Oh,
Everybody's running around going, town centres are dying, what shall we do? It's easy!
But if you allow people to park anywhere in the town centre, it'll become impossible to get in or out.
No rubbish, it's true.
So you think parking restrictions are just out of spite?
Well, what else are they for?
You mean?
They go, hey, we did really well. We got a £12 revenue today from our parking restrictions. Meanwhile, every shop's shut.
We need to have a more French attitude to parking. Because the rule in France is if there is a space that a car will go in, you put your car in it. Even if it's on a mini roundabout.
Yeah,
that is the rule.
James, why aren't we running the country?
Why are we presenting this programme with Noel Coward?
You were Mr. Toad last week. You really are moving around. Right, we've sorted parking. Good. Now, the next problem we face, and this is a big one. You know when James is telling you something and you start to feel drowsy?
Oh, God. Yes, it's like you've had a whole bottle of red, 5 portions of shepherd's pie in front of a fire.
Yeah, and it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. It's in the middle of a story and you nod off.
It's awkward.
OK, it is awkward. However, it's all going to be solved with this. £8.99. You clip it on your ear, OK? Right. Get sitting still. James, explain torque.
Torque? Torque is fantastically simple, Jeremy. It's just a force at a distance. That's why it's in pound-feet, for example, or newton-meters. So...
It's waking me up as well. What's the point of that? I can hear it.
It is, actually. I'd rather be asleep with these lectures. Now, they also say it can be used for drivers. So when you're driving, you can have it on your ear, and then if you nod off, it'll wake you up. But, and this, you'll love this bit, it says in the blurb it could be used by airline pilots.
What?
Oh, really? Some comfort,
It's
isn't
reassuring,
it?
I think.
Yeah, mid-Atlantic thinking, well, it's OK because the fate of me and all these other souls on board this jumbo jet lie in the hands of a £7.99.
£8.99.
£8.99 Chinese-made earpiece.
I don't actually know how much a Boeing 747 costs, but I'm pretty sure the price isn't something 99.
No,
But there's a component of it that's something 99. Besides, can you imagine if they said, right, an announcement now from the flight deck? Wake up!
This is a stupid idea.
It is a stupid idea. Now, while I was driving down here, I saw one of the new Jaguar F-Types. OK, have you heard about this? It's the new Jag small sports car. I've got a picture here. It is a beautiful-looking thing.
Oh, yes.
And actually, it's even better looking from the back. That is a sensational-looking thing. But I tell you what has surprised me about it is I thought it was going to cost sort of 40,000, the same as a Porsche Boxster or a Mercedes SLK.
Yeah.
It's going to cost between 60 and 80,000. And even on the top models, you pay extra for heated seats and keyless entry and so on.
I'll tell you what worries me about that. I bet they have set that up more for handling and less for comfort, which will be a mistake, I think.
God, it's for younger people. That's the...
It isn't! It is! It isn't! Younger people spend 150 quid on their cars, not 80 grand. The only person who can spend 80 grand on a car is in their 50s.
That car, Hammond, it is... Well, yes, but it is made for people, exclusively for people who make a noise when they sit down.
Hey?
Yeah, could you go to a Jag dealership to buy that? And they'll say, oh, Mr. May, come in, take a seat. And you go, oh, thank you. Yes. Sold.
Oh, God.
That car is for people who watch TV or text, not both at the same time.
You do realise you two are now officially the oldest people in the world. You're right.
Yeah, but Hammond, we can't all be 36 forever, mate.
I like it, I'm sticking with it.
No, news from Citroën. They've developed a car that runs on compressed air.
No, I've been reading about this, and I have literally no idea how it works.
Yeah, I saw you reading about this earlier on today. And you know when somebody's eyes glaze? His looked like they'd been painted on. It was just... And you can see the words ricocheting off.
They wouldn't go in. I can't work it out. I can't work it out.
Actually, it's quite simple. It's a bit like a...
Explain it to me then, James.
The coil.
It's like a hybrid, like a Toyota, but instead of generating electricity under braking and going downhill, it compresses air, which then...
It weights it as well.
drives the car.
How does... No, this is what I don't understand. Why don't they just put... You know those scuba divers' tanks on the back, and then they shoot air out, and it'll make it go along?
Because that wouldn't work.
It would work. Or what about fire extinguishers? You put 2 fire extinguishers on the boot lid. When you set them off, it would make the car move forward.
Well, yeah, technically it would, but it's extremely wasteful. I mean, to go around our track, you'd need a fire extinguisher about the size of Hazelmere.
No, because fire extinguishers are full of carbon dioxide.
Yes.
Yes, well, engines produce carbon dioxide, so you'd endlessly refill the fire extinguisher.
You can't use carbon dioxide from cars to power cars. It's just...
Isaac Newton said it would work. I'm going to prove it.
What?
I'm going to prove it.
What goes
So
on?
give me this... Right, there's...
What goes on in his head?
Will you move back? Move back. Move back. Back. No, because seriously, I'm going to rocket across the studio floor. Are we ready, everybody? Here we go. Why is it doing this? Why is it doing that? Newton said the opposite of any action. No.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, yes.
It's rubbish. Every action makes you spin round in a lazy circle.
Well, clever or not, you can't expect him to have foreseen a gigantic, idiotic ape in an office chair with a fire extinguisher, can you? Shall we move on?
Yes.
Because tonight we are involved in an epic drive across the western United States in a Lexus LFA, an Aston Martin Vanquish and the mighty Viper.
Yes, and when we left the action earlier, we were with the Las Vegas Police Department taking part in some drag racing. The idea being that if you race on the track, you won't feel inclined to race between the traffic lights out on the streets. So, had it worked?
We're supposed to have got this out of our system, don't we?
We've been on the awareness course.
A long journey lay ahead, so we decided to annoy Jeremy.
Just to let you know, my iPod's working really well in the car. How about yours?
No, I don't have an iPod connector in here.
I suppose, yeah, it would be a bit much to ask for that on a £340,000 car, wouldn't it?
You would imagine it would be there. My simple hick car has got... You can Bluetooth your iPhone to it.
Jeremy, is there anything else you haven't got that any reasonable modern car should have?
Not really. Don't say cup holders.
Have you got a cup holder?
No, I haven't got a cup holder.
What a tragic oversight.
I think Lexus were concentrating so hard on building the perfect car, they forgot that occasionally you might need to go somewhere in it, need a cup holder and an iPod connector and a seatbelt that does up more easily than this one, which doesn't do up easily at all if you're a bit... fat.
I've got a meter that tells me how much torque my engine is producing at any given moment. Have you got one of those?
I absolutely haven't got one of those, and I'm very, very pleased about that. Oh, God, Hammond, the back of your car lights up with a stupid Viper when you brake.
Ah! That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
That isn't just a Viper, that is a Striker. It's the emblem of this car.
I'm going to crash into you trying to get a closer look at your novelty item.
As we cruised at a steady 55 towards California, Jeremy discovered yet another problem with the Lexus.
Would you mind awfully if we stop for petrol, because I need some.
I've got more than half a tank.
So have I.
It's quite a small tank.
In a town famous for having the tallest thermometer in the world, I spent £3 filling the Zippo in the Lexus and then bought Hammond some fuel for his car.
Oh. May, this is the right fuel for a Viper, isn't it?
Looks like it.
Funny.
Well, how do you...
Funny.
We can't get it in the tank.
Funny.
No, you know what you've done? You haven't got unleaded wood. That's why it won't go in the slot.
Is it charcoal we need?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate.
Never mind.
I'll go and
Thank
change
you.
it with some
Yes.
charcoal.
While I did that, Hammond kindly solved the LFA's cup holder problem.
You haven't put sugar in it.
After the pit stop, the producers told us to report to a racetrack called Willow Springs.
Right, I'm going to try a sat-nav test. Here we go. Use my mouse. You actually get a mouse in one of these. Destination. Click. Apparently it's calling someone.
Lexus informed.
It is.
This is Anita. Where would you like to go today?
Willow Springs Raceway.
Just a moment, and I can definitely help you with that. Let me just get that plugged in for you.
And then can you make that come onto my screen in the car?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to download it to your navigation for you instead of you putting it in yourself. Is there anything else I can help with?
No, I'm so staggered. That's amazing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Definitely call us 24/7 as many times as you need, and we will help you out, okay?
In fact, I called her back immediately, and she suggested we stop off at a nearby tourist attraction.
What they've done here, as you will note, is fitted grooves at intervals along the road.
Right.
So as you drive over them, your tyres make a noise. They play a note.
Really?
This road is musical.
Is it?
It's musical. It plays a tune as you drive.
As James has a music degree, we sent him out to test it.
Here we go.
Is that you?
I think that was supposed to be the William Tell overture.
Jeremy then had another idea.
Richard Hammond and I will now perform a duet. If I reverse, will it play a message from the devil? This often happens in rock and roll.
What a numpty. To make the tune go backwards, you can still drive the car forwards.
Yeah, never mind.
Yes. It's telling me Paul McCartney's dead because he wasn't wearing any shoes or socks.
Having decided the musical road might be a bit annoying if you lived near it, we continued onwards and eventually arrived at Willow Springs. We were keen to take on this amazing race complex in the high desert of California, but the producers had other ideas.
Thank you.
You will be familiar with a game called Laser Quest.
That's that one.
It's like paintballing, but with lasers.
So you have a
Exactly.
jacket that's got laser receptors on it and it registers
Yes,
when you've
yes,
been
yes,
hit.
yes.
Yes, I know that. What?
You will now play Aerial Laser Quest.
How does that?
Well, hang on. Your cars have been fitted with laser receptors. You will drive 5 laps of the track while 2 fighter planes fitted with laser guns shoot at you. The winner will be the one who is least shot.
Fighter planes with laser guns.
What planes?
Are they model planes?
Are they remote control?
They weren't. In fact, they were Italian Marchettis. Fast, agile, armed, and flown today by 2 hotshot dogfighters. With our laser sensors activated, we set off at 30-second intervals.
Tally ho, jabs.
Stand clear, I'm gonna go for the Aston on the straight.
They're after him already! Kill him! Kill him!
I missed.
Let's just try sheer speed for a bit.
Bit of braking my Foxham there. Oh no!
Oh, Captain Slow. You're gonna need to do better than that, my friend.
Big speed coming up, 140. That's nothing to those planes that could just reel me.
Lexus.
Trying to shoot this car from a plane like that, I'm sorry. It's like trying to swat a fly with a drinking straw. Not gonna happen. Oh no!
Bingo, Lexus dead.
I'm hit again! They're just shooting at me because my car's Japanese. It's racism.
Sorry, Jeremy.
There was only one thing for it.
Lexus 4, this is Cheryl. Where would you like to go today?
I'm being attacked by fighter planes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, I'm being attacked. There are fighter planes and I'm trying to get away from them. Do you have any suggestions?
She didn't. And as a result, the game became a turkey shoot.
Lexus dead. Aston's dead. Bingo, Viper's dead. Oh, there's Viper.
No, another hit for me!
My God, they got Ginger!
Smoke! Smoke! Oh, they're going in for the kill. I can see him zooming down.
To be honest, we weren't enjoying the relentless slaughter.
Under attack, under attack.
But we were at least loving our cars.
The guts of this car are what make it unbelievable on track. Just hauls ass.
Dinking, and brake. Oh, that just feels tremendous.
The word immediate was invented for the throttle response on this car. And the steering, and the gearbox, and every single thing about it. Look at that!
But though our cars were good, the planes were better.
What can only get me there?
So 26 laps into the 5-lap event, we decided to get cunning.
You see? Where am I now then, plane? You can't see me. Invisible. It's got me. Bugger.
What I've done is I've hidden near the hills behind a bucket. See, this is the ingenuity that marks me aside. Oh, what?
Cunning wasn't working, so we did what we do best. Panic.
You're going the wrong way.
No, Jake!
Going the wrong way.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. What?
A bonus.
Fading light eventually brought the massacre to an end.
There's a lot of bullet holes in those cars down there.
That's good. I like that, though. It's a lot of fun. I really do. Can I just say, have you ever, in your entire life, seen aircraft flying lower or faster than that?
No, to be honest, no.
No, never. They were just 6 feet off the deck.
Can I just bring us towards a sort of meat of the thing here, which
Yeah.
is I can now reveal I was hit 23 times.
Aha! 17 times. Well,
Come on, then.
What?
how many times were you hit?
I can't remember.
Yes, you can. Come on. How many?
48.
48. So you lost, and...
It was racism.
Really? Either way, you lost. The pilots told me as well that, James, you only won because every time they went into a strafing dive to hit us, they had to anticipate where the car would be. And every time your car was considerably further back than they'd expected it.
That's true. They said they couldn't hit you because you were driving too slowly.
Yeah.
Really?
They did.
Well, as I've said many times before, gentlemen, he who is last shall be first. And so it turns out.
So the baby Jesus had a point. Anyway, it is now time to put a star in our reasonably priced car. Now, my guest tonight is a member of a popular ensemble where all the members find each other very irritating.
Oh, imagine that.
Quite. Ladies and gentlemen, from Fleetwood Mac, it is the man himself, Mick Fleetwood!
Holy moly! Oh, you're here. How are you? Hey, Fleetwood has come to top here.
You set?
Yes, have a seat, please.
Lord have mercy.
I've gone nervous.
Oh, my God.
Only Roger Daltrey sat on that side of the sofa. It's obviously a rock thing. No, that's lovely too. You choose.
Well, I could be just big.
It's nice to have someone who's the right height.
There you go.
We're going to get onto your amazing car history in a minute, but if I may, I want to talk about Rumours, because this is one of my absolute all-time favourite albums. And how many have been sold over the years?
Billions. No. A lot. Getting on for 50 million copies or so, yeah.
50 million copies. I think for me the most amazing thing, really, about Rumours is that it got made at all. Because I think I'm right in saying, I mean, people think of The Who and Keith Moon in particular and Led Zeppelin and what have you. There was some excess there. But when it came to excess, Fleetwood Mac were really, as far as I can work out, in a class of their own.
Don't get me wrong, we were definitely in the top 10, I would say, if not more. But I think the romance of that and the drama of that became out of control, mainly because we were stupid enough to somewhat irresponsibly be too open about our dirty laundry, you know.
Yeah, because you were talking in public.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the drugs either. I mean, it was, as far as I can work out, the band was just made up of people who were fighting at that time.
Yes.
I mean, we've got a photograph here of the band. So there's you in the middle, OK, the
Yes.
drummer. And then
Piggy.
you've got an American couple
Yes.
who really didn't get on. They were falling out during the recording. And a British couple
Yes.
who were going through the same problems. Now, the songs that they were writing about each other were genuinely about each other. So Stevie wrote Dreams, didn't she, which was about her boyfriend, Lindsay.
Yeah.
And then he wrote You Can Go Your Own Way.
Yes. Then I know where you're going with this.
But I think it's phenomenal. But the worst one was it Christine wrote the song of John, her husband?
Yes.
She did You Make Loving Fun, and he must have thought, what a lovely song. But she was writing actually about the lighting engineer she was having an affair with.
This is true. Are you starting to feel even vaguely sorry for me? It was unbelievably awkward in the studio because Lindsay would save the vocals until all the recording was done, because he knew damn well if I start singing like all the lines you're talking about, with Stevie standing over there, she'd walk out.
But the worst thing
Quite
is,
clever.
I mean, it is quite clever for getting the album down, but then if you have to take it on tour, poor old Stevie, or all of them, have to perform these songs about, you know, I've got a small penis and I'm
Yes.
better off with a Because I'm just thinking, if we ever put a band together on Top Gear, I could write a song called I Am a Crashing Bore and then get James May to perform it. And then James could write one, I'm an irritating little brummie. And for 40 years, Hammond would have to go, oh, no, I really don't like doing this. Because that's what Rumours is.
No doubt. That experience in the studio was so horrendous, emotionally. I mean, the music was great, and we all aspired to... We didn't ever think of walking out because we were so into what we were doing. Became the glue that if we got through that, we can get through 12 years of high powered, which is probably 12, 15 years. We didn't stop doing anything, literally, on the road, in the studio.
Because you are still all together.
We are, yeah.
We must get on to cars. We must get on to cars. You live on the Pacific island of Maui.
I do, yeah.
OK. You are a rock god, an incredibly successful musician. And you drive a...
My most cherished car is an Austin 7.
This is a picture of you with it that we have here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how did you come by that?
Many years ago, I probably was like 19. A friend of mine had a flat in Oscourt. I get off the tube, and this little car, I kept walking by it, month after month after month, and I fell in love with the car. And one time I left a note on the car, said, if ever you fancy selling this, I would love to give this car a home. And then about 18 months later, we happened to be starting to do fairly well. My mum, which was the phone number I'd left, got a phone call from the guy.
Oh, really?
Said, I'm moving, and I want a home for my little car. And I bought it.
And you've still got it now?
Yeah.
But I presume that all the way through the late 70s and 80s, obviously you were in limos, so where was that?
Well, that was part of those sort of years where you go, like, you're not quite sure what happened. And I went with the band to the United States, which was probably 15 or 16 years. Eric Clapton, who was then my brother-in-law, I said, would you look after... It was called Lettuce Leaf, because and lettuce...
The car was?
Yeah, well, by my children. It was Lettuce Leaf, so it was always Lettuce Leaf. He said, sure, we'll put it in the barn, and that was it. And years later, I got a call from Eric's manager saying, can we get rid of it? And then I didn't realise it had been in his orchard for 15 years, and it was full of birds' nests. It had been out in the open. It survived, and they had it rebuilt, and the next time I saw it was in Maui, where I live.
And us car people, stupid, sort of sloppy dates that we tend to be, I sort of broke down when I met her at the dock. She was just there in Maui, and I went, how cool is that?
I love all that. You see, that's exactly what cars are to me. How fast they go is sort of not relevant. It's how you interact.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got married to my first wife in that car, and that was my only car.
Now, presumably, you can't drive lettuce leaf all the time, so what's...
No, I have a 2004 twin-turbo Porsche I like a lot, and I had it all tarted up, and that's my main car.
Can you get it going in Maui?
It's only an island, so there's only about 3 roads, really. But there is one. It goes right through sugarcane fields, and you can get up to about 130, 40 miles an hour in certain places, which I confess that I do quite regularly.
You just have, actually. Just did do that. And that's in the Porsche. Have you actually ever done any racing?
Only in the old days, the wicked 80s and early 90s. Anybody and everybody was doing it. There was an excuse for another party or something, and we were all, half of us were stoned most of the time.
So what was it like out there today? Better than last week when it was snowing.
Well, I wasn't stoned, so that's good.
Who would like to see Mick's lap? Come on, Mick.
Oh, Lord.
Let's have a look. Come on.
Oh, God.
Right. Now, you're a drummer, and I always associate drummers with being coordinated.
Don't stop. Come on, come on. Remember the damn song. You played it for 40 years.
Thinking about tomorrow, first corner. But I do. You think drummers are going to be able to get their hands on their feet?
This was not me, right?
Yeah, it sure
Into the
is.
mud.
That's pretty tidy.
Come on, don't pussyfoot it.
Yeah, but Chicago, you don't want to go too fast through there. You'll just spin wide. No, that looks quite tidy as well.
Glad I had those brown underpants on, I can tell you that much.
Hammer the hammer. What a beautiful-looking day out there it is today.
It's going to go wrong any second, right?
No, look at that, it's bang on. And up now toward the follow-through.
This is our full power.
Full power, yes, 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 yes. Power it, power. Cut it, yes. This is the tricky one. And that is nicely cut. And into Gambon, and no big dramas there across the line. Now that looked tidy, but was it fast? Whereabouts do you think you've come?
Oh, I dread to think.
No idea?
I hope I'm not in the last 10.
You're not. Because, Mick Fleetwood, you did it in 1:45.4. And that puts you between a wizard and a bassist in Blur.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute. I always try to look for some good news there. How old are you, if that's not...
I'm 65, yeah, 60, June.
So you are, without any question or shadow of doubt, the fastest pensioner we've ever had.
That's it.
I've been looking forward to you coming down ever since we knew this series was coming back, and it's just for me been an enormous pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Mick Fleetwood.
Thank you.
Tonight, we are driving across America in 3 GT cars, the Lexus LFA, the Aston Martin Vanquish, and the SRT Viper.
So far, we have established that none of them is a match for a cheaply modified Mitsubishi, and that all 3 have been beaten by fighter planes.
So, nothing of any practical value whatsoever. But maybe that will change in Los Angeles.
For a genuine real-world test, Hammond decided we should head for one of the city's famous storm drains.
Tell you what, I bet I can leave longer 11s in this than you can in yours.
Well, you mean black marks on the road from wheel spinning starts?
Yeah, well, you do wheel spin starts, I leave 11s. I can do a longer 11s than you.
No, you can't.
I'll be the adjudicator.
You can be the adjudicator because I'm going to demonstrate something to you now.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
I'd say that was a dead heat.
Yeah.
So, Hammond suggested we should see who could do the best donuts.
Right a big skid now.
Many Hollywood scenes have been filmed here over the years, but none has ever looked or sounded quite as bovine as this. And none has ever caused quite so much damage.
Suggestions? I mean, running away, obviously.
That's where I was going with
I was
it.
going running away, really.
How far should we run away?
Quite a long way.
And how soon? Now.
Yeah.
Can't get my seatbelt on. Get in!
Running away.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Lexus Farm, this is Sonia. Where would you like to go today?
Yes, hello. I've accidentally painted a gentleman's sausage on a storm drain.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I need to run away.
The lovely lady suggested Palm Springs, which was 110 miles away. So we settled down and thought a little bit about our cars.
Let's have a quick recap. This Aston has the most charismatic engine, it's the most tasteful, and it was the least shot. Ask yourself, honestly, from watching this programme, which of these cars you'd take if you were going to drive across America, across Europe, across Siberia. It doesn't matter. It's this one.
I said at the beginning of this trip that I had a feeling I might fall for the Viper, and I have. It's won me over completely. It doesn't have the aluminium accents inside of the Aston or the banks of computers of the Lexus, but it's done everything we've asked of it on this journey. And it's done everything with its own particular style, its own attitude. And let's not forget, at a fraction of the price of the other two, this is the plucky underdog here.
If somebody were to offer me a choice of any car that had ever been made, ever, I would take a dark blue LFA. That's how much I love this thing. I mean, yes, there are faults. The petrol tank is too small. The seatbelt is idiotic. And joking aside, I would like a cup holder. But the rest of it is so exquisite. I'm going to say it. It's the best car I've ever driven. It really is.
With all that sorted out, we opened the taps and headed into Palm Springs.
Like man bouncing a ball like a netball
Another
played by
man's
small
gonna catch the
girls.
ball and then throw it.
And they score so many goals. Have you noticed nobody reacts when they get a goal? Look.
Because it happens every 35 seconds. You can't really tackle something, can you?
Can they not take the
Gentlemen,
ball off?
gentlemen. Haven't we finished?
Hey?
We think you should run away more. Tomorrow morning, at precisely 8 o'clock, you will race to the border.
What border?
What border?
You're not going to like this. The last to arrive will cross into Mexico and spend a few days road testing the Mastretta sports car for a forthcoming item on the show.
The Mastretta is the one that started a bit of trouble for us.
We spoke about it on the news, on the show,
It
and
was,
the Mexicans
it
took
was.
exception to some of the things we
They
said.
hate us in Mexico.
Let's go to Mexico.
No, they hate us.
Yeah.
We told Hammond we'd get an early night, but we didn't.
Right, James and I have had a bit of a discussion, and we've decided that since it was Hammond that caused all the problems, Hammond should lose this. So what have you got in mind, James?
Well, what I've got in mind, Jeremy, or rather in my pockets, is a couple of bananas. Because I've seen this in a film, I thought we could put banana in the tailpipe.
Oh, banana in the tailpipe.
That's the
OK,
one.
let's do it.
Because what this does is prevent the car from exhausting and back pressure builds up in the engine and then it stops.
Annoyingly, the Viper's exhaust was so big we had to substitute the bananas with a selection of other fruits. And then Clarkson had another idea.
If we pop his seat all the way back... Yes?
Yeah.
It also has electric pedals, this thing, yes? So if we make the pedals go all the way forwards, seat all the way back, and then take the fuse out.
Yes.
Having stolen the fuses for the seat and the pedals, we then disconnected two of the V10's HT leads.
He's got a V8 motor. He's got
No pedal movement.
no pedal movement, no seat
Seats fully
movement.
back. That'll do.
At precisely 7 minutes past 8 the following morning, the race began.
Get back!
That's you and the door.
The Lexus. The Lexus.
Just there. It's there. Oh, funny. I can't.
Oh no! Oh, this seatbelt is going to be the death of me.
This is nice. Thank you. Nice.
Just for the record, and in case this goes terribly wrong, I said I didn't like Mexican food, and what I meant was I don't like refried beans and cheese. That's all. It's all Hammond's fault.
Oh, funny. Funny. Also funny. Thank you. So, yeah, right. We live in a cartoon. Really. That's not right.
The problem is that Richard Hammond may be stupid and a rampant racist, but he is quite practical. He'll probably have that car put back together again in about 5 minutes. It'll take me a year.
Ah, it's an HT lead off. 1, 2. Right. I will kill them. I'm going to kill them. If the Mexicans don't, I shall.
As Hammond began his hate-fueled charge, Jeremy and I were bogged down in downtown Palm Springs.
So we've got a retirement community. The Rosas up ahead. There's nothing I can do. 40 miles an hour.
I lost, I don't know, 10 minutes, maybe more. But Jeremy's got to stop for fuel. Right, you'll never get that done in under 10 minutes. I have to hope James gets lost or dawdles.
What's really unfair about this race is that I wasn't particularly rude about the Mexicans. I just made a small jokelet about the Mexican ambassador in London. And I've been to see him, I've apologised, drunk quite a lot of his tequila, and all is well. But the Mexicans don't know that.
Once clear of Palm Springs, we faced a choice. Take the road to the east of the Salton Sea, which was longer but should be quiet, or go on the freeway and pray it wasn't too busy. I went for the freeway.
Take me to victory, Aston Martin.
While stupidly, Jeremy went for the longer route.
106 miles to the border, and my range is 104. Oh, so now I've got a choice. Do I drive slowly and increase the range, or drive fast and fill up? That one.
Not happening. Jeremy can't be going this fast on that mountain road, surely.
Sorry, James, it wasn't a mountain road, which meant that once more, thanks to editing trickery, I could get up to 55 miles an hour. I'm in an American road movie now! Feeling pleased with my choice of route, I called Mr. Angry. Hammond!
You utter bastard! Where are you?
I'm on the east side on the most amazing road I've ever found.
Oh, God.
Have you seen James?
No, I'm on the other road. I went the other side of the water. So he should be ahead of me if he's gone this way, or...
James is on your side of the lake.
So he must be on this road then. Right, I'm going to reel him in.
In fact, at this point, we all have the hammer down. Sit rep. 51 miles to go. About 30 miles of range.
Come on, Aston. And where the hell is Hammond? Is he catching me?
Right, 60 miles. And no sign of James. I'm just praying to see a little speck of blue up ahead. I'm going to be in front of Jeremy. There's no way can he do it. He's got to stop for fuel.
I don't know what that is, but that's all it's having. To find out what damage the fuel stop had done, I called May.
Clarkson.
May, where are you?
I have got to the bottom of the lake, and I'm just coming into the small town.
Oh, no, I think you're ahead of me. Wait, has Hammond caught you up?
Hammond is behind me, but only by a few miles.
Ah, that means he's probably ahead of me. But the race wasn't done yet, because at the bottom of the lake there were 3 routes to the finish line in the border town of Calexico, and none of us had any idea which would be the fastest.
Jeremy will go on the 111. He has to, because he's come from that side. He will get to that one first. I get to the 86 first. But is it quicker? I just don't know. Oh, God. What would Hammond do?
Right, this road now takes me straight through Calexico to the border. I think this is the quickest. I think James has gone a different route, and this is where I'm going to take him.
Please God, don't let me be last.
Big drive-through dentist there. Hopefully Hammond will stop at that.
4 miles. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Coming into town now. Yeah, this all looks decidedly Mexican now, which is to say brilliant, very nice.
Oh, God. Traffic lights. Oh, God, and the Rosas are behind me.
5th Street. Yes, does it go to Mexico? There's the border. Where is the border crossing?
Oh, I'll get lost right now. Mess it all up at the end.
Border, border, border. You beauty! May or Hammond, which one is going to be eaten?
The answer came seconds later.
I don't care if you won. Is it just you here?
Yep.
Oh, God, no. No.
Buenos dias!
Is that Mexico there?
That's the border there.
But look, it's very simple.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so
You're
much.
in the United States of America, land of the free. There's a big fence. The other side of it, everybody hates you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's a bit like sending Paddington Bear into a mincing machine. There is an element of... because
Yeah.
he looks quite tragic. With that, back to the studio. I think we can probably handle a conclusion on our own. Because the Aston Martin and the Lexus were...
Tremendous.
They really were, weren't they? And the Viper was...
It was awful.
Awful, absolutely. So there we are. Now, we will be bringing you a review of the Mexican Mistretta sports car in a couple of weeks, unless, of course, in the meantime, somebody finds a suspiciously white tooth in their taco.
In which case, we will be showing you a touching tribute to the late broadcaster, Richard Hammond.
So on that potential bombshell, it's now time to end. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.